Welcome back to another episode of More Than Superheroes. This spring has certainly been very different. Normally, I would have probably seen Black Widow in theaters by now and could be giving you commentary on that. But of course, because of the pandemic, the theaters have closed down, and it's going to be several more months before I can see a new superhero movie in the theaters and give you commentary on that. So, for the time being, I'll do things a little bit differently over the summer. I have an idea for a series I've wanted to do for a while, and I'll also comment on a few events that I missed, maybe some movies that I didn't get a chance to see in the theater. Today I'm going to go back and comment on an event that happened in December and January. I'm going to comment on the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event. This event happened between all the DC superhero shows on the CW network. It was part of their annual events that they've been doing. Their crossover events. This one goes back to the comic event Crisis on Infinite Earths that happened in the comics back in the 1980s. This event kind of gets given away a little bit in the title, Crisis on Infinite Earths. The idea is that the evil Anti-Monitor wants to destroy the entire multiverse, and of course it's up to our heroes to stop him. In this multiverse, there are basically an infinite number of universes, all a little bit different. There's probably a cap somewhere, but there's a lot of universes. So the basic idea of a multiverse is this, that there are so many different worlds, and on each one, maybe something a little bit different happens. For example, on one Earth, I could be a pastor like I am here, and then on another Earth, I could be an airplane pilot. So a lot of different options. Now, I could talk about the idea of a multiverse, but I'm not going to do that today. It's a hypothetical idea you see in a lot of different science fiction shows. Interesting idea, but hypothetical nonetheless. What I'm going to talk about is what happened between Green Arrow and the Flash. These two have been the biggest superheroes on the CW network since basically the start of these shows. And it makes sense that the biggest thing in this crossover would come down to them. Leading up to the crossover event, we thought that the Flash was going to die to save the multiverse, but it turns out Green Arrow is actually the one who dies to save the multiverse. As he's dying, there's a great conversation that happens between him and the Flash. They go back to mimic really an earlier conversation. The Green Arrow says something like, "Remember what I told you." And Flash says, "Dying is the easy part." Green Arrow replies, "The real heroes," and Flash finishes the statement, "They're the ones who have to keep going." It's an interesting statement. It's a good statement. Dying's the easy part. The real heroes are the ones that have to keep going. It makes sense in a lot of different ways. It helps to add significance to the death of Green Arrow, and it gives you something to think about. If you look at it not from a Christian perspective, you can certainly understand what they're saying, that people that die, that's easy in that they don't have to worry about the problems of this world anymore. Their life is done. But the people that are left behind, well, they're the ones that have to maybe do some things that are heroic. They might struggle at times, but they have to do some heroic things to help others. You think about maybe a wife who lost her husband, and she has to do some pretty amazing things to take care of her kids without the help of a spouse. If you look at the statement from a Christian perspective, I think it gets even better. First of all, Christians, we have the greatest hero. We have Jesus who conquered sin, death, and the devil for us. And in all those things, he can help us. You think about our death. Our death thus becomes easy because it's not just the end of this life, but it's our entrance into heaven where we can rejoice with Jesus because he earned us heaven. And then you think about how he helps the people that are left behind. You think about how he helps us to in our grief, but helps us to do other things. In that scenario I mentioned with the wife, he can help her with her grief and give her the greatest comfort, and he can also help her and strengthen her to take care of her kids. Jesus is our greatest comfort, he's our greatest help, and he gives us forgiveness and the hope of heaven. He gives us the strength to continue. Thank you for watching this episode of More Than Superheroes.